This is a garden we've been working on for, well, this is our first winter, actually going into spring, and it's been a permaculture garden for about 2.5 years, but we've never grown winter crops before. This is our first experiment, and we're going to look at it like that and try to track it as an experiment. So as we look at the plants that we have right now, in 2 days we're going to do a big transition and move a lot of these winter plants out and do a big harvest and prepare the soil for early or mid-spring and early summer planting, both seeds and 6-packs. So as we look at what we've got here, we're getting ready to harvest most of this lettuce. There are large heads grown sporadically throughout the garden. There's celery, which is the flat leaf plant that looks like parsley in front of us. We were almost finished harvesting the daikon. We just have 2 or 3 left. And we have our younger lettuce sprouts that should take us through until the hot weather starts and it starts to bolt. And we've segmented our onions into 3 sections, just for one to keep them next to plants where pests bother particular individual types of plants. So we've moved the onions to 4 different places in the garden. We also intersperse different flowers and chives and garlic all throughout the garden. And here's an example here where we have pansies, we have cabbage, we have collards, we have kale, parsley, snapdragons, all different kinds of flowers are coming up. And keeping in mind that in this garden all of these plants were under 1.5 feet of snow several times. We were also fortunate enough to have a very warm winter in general, so even though we had snow, we had really beautiful warm days in between. So you can see that today is March 20th, and you can see how the garden is really thriving for Zone 7. Normally we would be getting, and still could get, snow and frost. The little straw path is just so when it's raining we don't get muddy. And we're just doing a little cursory scan. You can see broccoli. It's interspersed with collards and cabbage and Swiss chard and beets and different types of lettuce, parsley, and then we have our garlic, another type of onion, and we have planted arugula. This is actually arugula from last summer, just starting to bolt, which is fine. We'll go ahead and plant some seeds now and get some more arugula going. There's a whole patch of beets with some lettuce, some cabbage, some carrots back in there, some primroses just to keep it interesting. And then we really want to look at this situation honestly. So we have some whiskey barrels here, and we're going to do some changing out. We have a sycamore tree in the blank looking whiskey barrel, and we're going to move that out and do some shifting around, which we'll document. And this has just been an incredible herb barrel that's been lasting 3 years, and it's getting woody, and it's time to actually just do a harvest and a replant and probably a move that whiskey barrel somewhere else. So then we come over to where today we're going to harvest these large heads of lettuce. The lettuce is planted right next to several species of carrots and some beets. And this is the spot, I'll stay here for a minute, where these carrots are is basically where the tomatoes are going to go when the soil warms up enough. We're not quite there yet. So that's the part we're going to document, is the transition. So at this moment, most of the garden is pretty thickly planted. In the next few days, when we do this large harvest, we'll have a lot of space where we can start to condition the soil, put some manure in, and develop some of these empty spaces, which I'm getting ready to video right here. So we have some whiskey barrels that have collars in them, and broccoli, kind of do a pan, and we have a little straw path with some more arugula. Behind here we have some more onions, and we have a corner here with a berry plant planted in a bag, just coming up from the frost, just starting all over again. We're going to clean this area up. We have more carrots here. We're going to harvest and clean this area up, move a lot of the whiskey barrels to the outside of this perimeter. We have deer fencing going on right here, and I'll do a little pan. You can see the red dirt back there, and it's the property's a couple of acres, but it has a very large deer population, so hence the electric fence. So as we document what goes into these areas here and how we build them up from a hard soil to actually a very rich and porous soil, that's what we'll be documenting in the next few videos. So this is just our garden on March 20th.